Alrighty, as you know, it works like this. We're into the summer season on Three Guys Before the Game. So what is the game of summer? What's baseball? So what do? We go get the number one name in the state of West Virginia when it comes to baseball. No, Manoa couldn't be here, so we had to get Randy Mazey. I maybe shouldn't have started with a shot. Our guest on episode 382 of Three Guys Before the Game is WVU baseball coach Randy Mazey. Senator is in, and Three Guys Before the Game brought to you by Comax Business Systems, full service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com, and by Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. You can give them a visit at burdettcamping.com. Well, look who we have here. How are you, sir?
Well, I heard you say this is episode 382 and it's summertime.
Yeah.
Why wasn't I on episode 381?
Well, I tell you what, I went through your scheduler, and they said, look, he's booked until spring of 23. I said, come on. They said, no, spring of 23. I said, I'm just going to go direct. So that's why.
So you called Amanda?
Does she do a good job of keeping your schedule straight?
She keeps my schedule, the kids' schedule, her own schedule. She is the master scheduler.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's good to have you in here, man. This is a great time of the year because you're chilled.
I'm pretty fired up about this venue here. It's dark and dreary, and a cool little story here. When we built the stadium in 2013 and 14, we realized when I was in the meeting with all those engineers and architects,
right,
and I was the only baseball guy in the meeting, but when they do their geotech studies, when they dig into the earth to find out what you're getting ready to build on, they just really basically drop a drill bit down into the earth, and they're looking at the computer to see what kind of land is under there, and the drill bit just fell about 12 feet.
Oh, that's right.
And they ran into an abandoned coal mine. And for the longest time, they didn't know what they were going to do with this abandoned coal mine under the stadium. And I said, put my office down there. What a great place to go after you lose a series to Texas.
Yeah.
Have an office in a coal mine.
Yeah.
And that's actually the first thing I thought of when I came in here. I feel like we're in a coal mine.
Yeah. You could cure meats in the coal mine office. I mean, this is nice, though. You like this, though, don't you? I feel
this is impressive. This is your version of a dugout.
Yeah.
And
I never
the
thought
fans can't see inside. That's the beauty of it.
Isn't that neat, Senator?
It's our dugout.
This is our dugout.
Yeah. We got a nice setup here. We can talk. We got TVs, climate controlled. We're in a pretty good position here.
Does Grubhub come in here?
Well, we get whatever we need. And then there's some people that come down that side alley that I don't know exactly who they deliver for, but they deliver.
No, this is cool. This is impressive. My first time after 381 shows. This is my first time.
Welcome to WVU. We're glad we got you on the.
Yeah.
Thank you. But, it's only my 10th year here, so.
Yeah. And when you say it's my 10th year here, does that seem short or long?
This is a record for me. It's a personal record by 4 years. I've been the guy that's hopped around. I actually lived in 4 straight years. I lived in both Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee.
In 4 years.
Back to back to back to back. So really cool to do all that stuff, but it was pre-Whammer and Sierra.
Right.
So it was a lot easier, but really was looking for a place to settle in. And they said, this is my personal record, 10 years.
When you first took the job, I remember you saying that geographically, topographically, this is kind of where you grew up, right? Because you were a PA guy, and so this kind of was closer to home and gave you that feel.
Yeah. West Central Pennsylvania guy. Amanda's from Columbus, so it's kind of the midway point between the two of them. So climate didn't scare us at all. We actually prefer the climate. I've told a lot of people I'd much rather have the winters in West Virginia than the summers in Fort Worth, Texas. Our last year there in Fort Worth, we had 40 consecutive days of 100 plus.
Yeah.
And the kids were small, you can't even take them outside without throwing them in the lake,
Mm-hmm.
So we throw them in the lake enough and they want to get out of town, and here we come.
Yeah. I've been in Dallas like for Big 12 Media Day, which is coming up next month, and it's a hot that hits you and just kind of like takes you back.
Yeah, you might as well just crawl into the oven.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it feels. So does it seem like it's been a quick 10 or a long 10?
It depends on what day you talk to me. As I'm sitting here right now, it's been a pretty quick 10.
Yeah.
We'll see how the next 10 goes, but yeah, it's I remember playing at Holly Field and hosting Texas at Holly Field, and some of those people climbing those pine trees, watching the game from tree stands, and some of it seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference from when you arrived here to what you thought would happen if you were here 10 years to where you sit today?
Good question. It's we knew we were going to get good. We thought it was going to happen sooner. As a coach, you're always impatient, and you want things to happen right away. But if you look at the last 10 years and how it has unfolded, I think our first year was, we played at Holly Field 2013 and 14, Stadium in 15, first regional in 17, first one you host in 19, got screwed in 22. So
True.
Along the chronological scale, it's probably happened the way it should. You just keep progressing and getting better. And even this year, we're still doing things that we haven't done before. We won more games in the Big 12 this year than we ever have, and set another attendance record and stolen base record. So we're continuing to push the needle. So hopefully at this point, it's hard to win the first regional you play in because you don't have experience in that environment. It's hard to win the first one you host because the kids, when they put their feet in the batter's box, they know there's 2 million people out there watching them, and it takes experience in that venue to get good in that venue. So we're progressing. We'll get back there, and next time we get back there, we'll push the needle a little further. And before you know it, these Mountaineer fans might have to book a ticket to Omaha, Nebraska.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would be something.
That'd be cool.
One of the great events in American sports, that College World Series.
How many people do you think would go from the
Oh, my goodness.
600,000, give or take.
I'll guarantee you 600,000 would be watching for sure.
Well, it'd be massive. You mentioned that hosting of the regional. Think how big a deal that was. That was stands filled, the hospital up top with all the people 2 rows deep. That was massive at the regional level.
Somebody told me that tickets were going on StubHub for $500 for a West Virginia baseball game. How about that?
Yeah.
For $500, you could have got a 10-year season ticket package back in the day.
Do you have any problem when you're managing at the stadium with the people that sit up on the grass overhang up top near the hospital?
I actually, from the dugout, can't really see those people.
Yeah.
The only person that really gives me a problem is my wife. She sits
right
there next to the dugout.
Yeah.
So I can't pay attention to anything else because she's constantly screaming at me.
Well, I know people that go up top there. Maybe one of them's in this room right now. And I understand why he does it. You got little girls, then it's difficult for them to sit. And so
each day's a new day. We might be there 20 minutes. We might be there 3 hours. So we need easy in and easy out. Here's the other thing. Grew up a Cubs fan. It's very reminiscent of the Cubs sitting on the rooftops over there. So we take the whole experience in.
Yeah.
He doesn't care where I sit. He's just happy we're there supporting, right, Randy? Fair?
The NCAA was not happy that weekend that we hosted because, like all the other people you sat with, you didn't buy a ticket.
Did not.
You just parked up there at the facility and watched the game, and I think that's pretty cool. They tried to run you guys out of there, but good luck on that.
Yeah.
We had the old boy that carries the beer up and down the aisles in the stadium. He took his concessions up there.
I bet you kicked it pretty good.
Oh, are you kidding me? That's awesome. I've been trying to get the grass cut on that hill for 10 years.
I think it's a nice little aspect.
It's a great setup, and I know everybody's going to cringe when they hear this because we're not selling tickets. But here's what I will say also. It helps. I have at times in regional action, when there's been weather, run home and come back. Started there, ran home, picked up some more supplies, and come back, and still been able to catch it all.
Where else can you do that?
Where else can you do that? What other sport can you do that? It's perfect.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's the ballpark. How bad was Holly Field? I mean, when you managed on Holyfield,
is this mic on?
when you managed at Holyfield and Texas came in, like, were you like, did you just go like, this isn't right?
You know what? Huge advantage. Whenever you go play somewhere in a bad atmosphere with a bad field, you never play well. You never play well. You just hope to get out of the game with a win, no matter how you play. When Augie Garrido got off the bus and walked around the corner and saw what he was getting ready to put his team on, they had no interest in playing the game. His All-American shortstop couldn't have fielded a ground ball. He was getting holly hops, which they have affectionately become to know. They just didn't play well, and most people didn't. Now we got this beautiful, grandiose stadium, and kids are excited to play in it.
Yeah, everything's clean because it's like perfect turf and everything bounces normal
so
and the whole deal.
We played. We won a lot of games at Holyfield, so I love that atmosphere.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's what do you call that? Like there's a word for that. Shabby chic. I think it's
Exactly.
shabby chic.
You know, we played Ohio State out there in a midweek game. It was snowing so hard. During in and out, infield, outfield practice, they stayed on the bus.
Is that right?
Yeah, they didn't get off the bus until the game started, and we beat them. Ross Vance struck out 14, and we beat them, and they refused to come back.
That was it?
Until this year. It's the first year I was able to get them back. So we had an 8-year gap.
Can you, with a fungo bat, can you hit one straight in the ear to the catcher?
In my day,
So
yes.
But you used to be able to. So do you lose that? So is that something that you lose?
Don't you lose a lot of things with age? At my age, as you're well aware.
Yeah.
Some we can talk about on the Three Guys show, and some we can't.
That is a podcast. That's an elite skill. Tell him he's never tried to do that. That is hard.
I'm not
It's one thing to
criticizing
hit
it.
outfield fungos, infield. That catcher, dude, that is a hard deal.
Yeah, you got to know where to throw the ball. You got to know the bat path. Here's an interesting story. Can we tell stories on this show?
Well, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
When I was coaching at East Carolina, well, let me go back before that. When I got the head coaching job at Charleston Southern in 1993, I think, Hurricane Hugo had just come through Charleston. Very devastating hurricane. And on our campus at Charleston Southern, everything was torn up except the dugouts. They were made out of cinder block.
Wow.
And I told myself after that, if I'm ever in another hurricane, that's where I'm going. So I get to East Carolina about 4 years later, and hurricane, I think it was Irma, headed right for Greenville, North Carolina. So here I go. I take my bucket of balls, my video camera on a tripod, and my fungo, and I went and sat in the first base dugout. And it was really interesting because at East Carolina, you have pine trees out behind the outfield fence.
Yeah.
When the hurricane first comes, all the trees are bent over this way. And then the eye comes, and it's calm as it could be. And then when you get the back of it, the trees blow the other way. So at the height of the wind, I set up my tripod, and I went out and stood on home plate and hit a ball straight up in the air as high as I could. And I couldn't get one to go over the fence, but it came close, 350 feet away.
A little jet stream.
In 120-mile-an-hour winds.
A little jet stream.
So I got a little crazy in me, I guess.
Did you eat a lot of Bees barbecue in Greenville?
Oh, my goodness. Got to get there early, man.
Dude,
They run out.
Is that the best ever or whatever? See, I like
Eastern North Carolina barbecue is the best ever. Correct.
Yeah. And I've been there when they do sell out. It's a dark day when they say, we're out of food, man, go away.
Yeah, you could be the next guy in line. It doesn't matter. You might as well turn around and go home.
Yeah.
Which is always the stress point. When you pull
Yeah.
up, that's always, you're counting, looking, where's it? Are we okay? We're here. Are we okay?
I know, right?
Once you make it inside that screen door, you're looking over where they're pulling it from going, they still got it? They still got it? They
Like,
still
slow
got
down. Don't give that guy so much. Slow
Yeah.
down there. Hold on.
Yeah, I love that stuff. We are of the belief that when you do stuff, there are certain things that you like, certain things that you love, and certain things that you live for. So to do what you do, you have to live for baseball. When did you realize that you were going to live for baseball?
I had a real job one time, believe it or not.
What'd you do?
When I got released by the Indians, I got released on Mother's Day, 1989. My mother was at the game. I was playing for the old Miami Miracle when they were trying to introduce baseball, professional baseball, to South Florida. There were no Marlins or anything like that. So we had back in the day, they called them co-op teams. I don't know if you remember co-op teams. It was there was 9 guys on that team that were under contract with the Indians, a couple from the Expos, 3 or 4 with the Reds. The Tigers would send a couple. So that team was made up of guys who were under contract with organizations.
Right.
And it was guys that needed at-bats or needed innings, whatever. So we played that summer in the Florida State League. It was a great experience. But I got released on Mother's Day, and my mother was at the game. And after I got released, I took my obligatory walk around the field and shed some tears. And then at that point, I was the only guy, believe it or not, in the whole Cleveland Indians organization. Can I call them Indians now, or do I have to say Guardians?
Back then they were.
Yeah,
sure,
I was
go
an
ahead.
Indian. Now
You
they're
were.
Guardian.
Yeah, sure.
300 players in the minor league system. I was the only one of the 300 with a 4-year college degree.
How about that?
So when I got released, it was like, all right, check that box, move on to the next. But the rest of them had some issues.
Right.
Hold on, back up before you tell us about the job. So you knew you were done at that point. You were going to give it another shot. You just, all right, I've done it.
That was my
Let's move on.
That's one of my biggest regrets. When I got released, they asked me if I wanted to hook up with another team, and I could have done that. And I was so frustrated at the time with the system. Looking back on it, I grew up a San Francisco Giants fan. I'm like, if I could have put that Giants uniform on one time and played for the team I loved, would that have been the difference? Could I have been Barry Bonds?
Willie Mays.
Yeah, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that made me a Giants fan.
Juan Marichal.
Yeah, with the big high leg kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that afterwards I got a job. One of my teammates was from the Cleveland area, and his daddy was a salesman in a environmental business. They sold chemicals and the stuff you clean your floors with,
Right.
and right down to the urinal pads in the bottom of the urinal. Sold everything.
Yeah.
So I tried that for a couple months, and then that took me right into archery season, and that was the end of that job because there were some big bucks in the area that I was living. So
Yeah, I'm done. Yes,
I had to make that decision, and I called my people back at Clemson and said, "Hey, this real world stuff isn't for me. You got any spots open?" So went back there in 1990 and started my coaching career that year.
You were GA.
We didn't have GAs back then. I was in class. I was called a restricted earnings coach. I don't know if you remember
I
those
remember,
days.
sure. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
But here's an interesting story. Didn't have a place to stay. The athletic director at Clemson at the time, a guy named Bobby Robinson, great guy. He knew who I was because I played there. He said, "Mays, just come and stay with me." It was the middle of the year. It was Christmas. Couldn't find an apartment because they're all taken. He said, "Just stay with me till you find something." So I stayed with the AD. That was the year Danny Ford got fired from Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
We had police protection around the clock at the house because of the death threats. Danny Ford,
He was
you know
legendary.
anything about Clemson football, Danny Ford was legendary. How do you fire that guy? So what an interesting time in my life.
That's wild.
Yeah, how about that?
What a wild title. Go back from it, restricted earnings. Because at that time, everybody in college athletics was restricted earnings.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
What a stupid title that was, restricted earnings coach.
Well, they call them restricted earnings, and you're not supposed to do this, and you're not supposed to do that. And it's just classic stupid bureaucracy that just stupid.
Well, back in the day, every rule we have is because of what somebody did prior to that. So back in the day when Cliff Gustafson was the head coach at Texas, he was paying all of his volunteers and his coaches out of their summer camps, and he was giving them an unlimited amount of money. So the NCAA back then thought parity was a good thing in college baseball. So that was one way to create parity, is to restrict the earnings of your fourth coach.
Yeah.
And the limit, believe it or not, was $16,000. You could make $12,000 during the academic year and $4,000 in the summertime. So we were
grand a month.
restricted earnings. So since I've been involved in college baseball in the last 30-some years, coaches have gotten cut, games have gotten cut, and salaries have gotten cut, scholarships have gotten cut, every cut. College baseball is the single most underfunded sport of any of them in the NCAA as far as scholarships per number of players you have.
Mm-hmm.
The most out of every sport. So it's been that's the frustrating part to me, going back to my college baseball in the summertime proposal. And how long did you say this show was?
Oh, we're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there.
We'll
carve the thing up into 3 episodes if we have to. Feel free.
We're gonna get there.
Do you think we're nearing a point where that begins to change? And let me say why. One, it's getting harder, I would think, administratively to continue to justify why a baseball that's becoming increasingly popular, the TV, the regional ratings were just through the roof here on the latest regional. Are we getting closer to when it's hard to say you've got 25 guys on your roster, but you only get 12 scholarships? It feels to me, outside looking in, that baseball's close to a breakthrough. Fair or not fair?
Fair. And I think it's all relative to all the other stuff that's happening.
Right.
They have a transformation committee that's out there trying to, for the betterment of everything. And it looks like baseball is going to go to a model where you get 25 or 30 tuition, books, and fees scholarships, and you can have unlimited coaches, that type of thing. But I was actually a big fan of parity in college baseball. When I played, you didn't lose to a mid-major. When I played at Clemson, we went 60-8 one year. You just didn't lose in the midweek. And when they cut the scholarships from 13 to 11.7, that's about 3 players off of the Power 5 teams that ended up at the mid-major teams. And now mid-major schools started winning games. Georgia Southern ends up in Omaha. The Citadel, Kent State, people like that are going to Omaha. So I was a big fan of parity in college baseball. But with the advent of what you just said, it's going to go away really, really quickly, because parity will go away, because now the rich and the haves are going to separate themselves from the have-nots.
Sure.
So administrations now are going to have to decide which sports do we want to be good in. You can't spread it out evenly like you used to. If West Virginia or Maryland or Virginia Tech wants to be really good at baseball, they're going to have to go with the rules and it's going to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to decide, am I going to invest these extra dollars to make my baseball program really good? I happen to think we have a really good product here. The community's getting behind us, and it's fun to watch. And, just go to any sports bar in the state, turn on ESPN Plus now when we're playing,
Sure.
and there's a lot of people watching the Mountaineers play baseball.
No, you're absolutely right. You mentioned the transformation committee, so that just to let folks know, that's an NCAA deal where the schools are now getting together, and Shane Lyons is front and center on this. Last time I talked to him, some of what they're going to accomplish is going to be announced in August, so it's sooner than later, right?
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. So you've been kind of let in a little bit as to where it might go in baseball.
Yeah, it's going that way at some point, but how's a mid-major, if they say they give 30 tuition, books, and fees scholarships, and a mid-major school says, that's great, but we can only afford 15.
Right.
I mean, what kind of difference is that? It's
huge.
Now it's the Yankees against the Pirates scenario.
Right.
You know?
No, you're exactly right.
So, yeah, it's the parity that exists in college baseball is probably going to go away.
You want to get into this summer baseball?
Let's do it, man.
All right, so I'll give you the super quick overview. As you all know, climate-wise, there's this massive difference in our country each year when winter leaves and spring rolls in. And it puts schools at a tremendously unfair advantage in college baseball because, obviously, the southern schools can practice earlier, the southern schools can get games in quicker, the northern schools can't do so much of that stuff. And so you've done a ton of research through the years as to why and how the NCAA could move the baseball season away from where it starts now and run it like right now. Like in a perfect world, we'd be getting ready for a series, right, in Morgantown, weekend series. Okay, so walk us through. Do you think it's got any viability?
Well, a lot of people think I started that proposal because I was at West Virginia up in the north, which isn't true. I started that proposal when I was at TCU in Fort Worth, Texas, when Whammer was born. Because when I came out of high school, everybody said, well, if you're serious about college baseball, you got to go south. You got to go south. And I just thought that wasn't right, And if Whammer was ever lucky enough to have a chance to play college baseball, why would the Big Ten not be a viable option? Great schools.
Right.
So I did a lot of research, a ton of research, and the numbers are staggering from the crowds from March to April to May. Everybody says, well, how are you going to get crowds when the students are out of school? Look at the crowds they just had in the regionals and the super.
Oh,
Those
they'll
are
be
the
there.
biggest crowds of the year.
Packed.
Look at the crowds we had this year.
Yeah, they'll be
Biggest crowds of the year were in May against Kansas State when school was out.
Right.
So don't give me that. But 80% of the teams out there in the field in Omaha are always below my imaginary Mason-Dixon line, which I actually drew.
Your equator.
My equator. And my line of delineation was, if I can remember back that far, was the average temperature in the month of February above or below 50. That's how I divided the nation.
Okay.
And 80% of the schools in Omaha traditionally were from below that line. So, I mean, could you imagine if we played Pitt this coming weekend in a 3-game series in Morgantown?
Gold.
The stadium's not big enough, right?
That'd be perfect.
How about Ohio State and Michigan on July 4th weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Stadiums aren't big enough. But the problem is nobody will look at it logically and economically because they all say, well, you got to get the coach's approval first. The SEC coaches that have the huge advantage aren't going to vote for it. In today's world, when you have to win every game, why would you vote to lose the advantage that you have? Nobody's going to vote for it.
What's their incentive to help the rest of the country?
Yeah, somebody has to make a decision what's best for college baseball as a whole, not for themselves, and nobody does that. I mean, occasionally you sprinkle one in there, but nobody does that. So it's been super frustrating. We actually were making some progress. I got tired of beating my fist on the desk, so I let some young millennials take over for me.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Bakich from Michigan, who I signed at East Carolina, he kind of took the reins, and he was more political than I was, and he was actually getting a lot of support, and it was going in a good direction, and then COVID hit. And it has just been pushed to the back burner, and now Eric Bakich, as I understand, is the new coach at Clemson. So we'll see how he feels about it now. He was at Michigan,
yeah, we'll
up
see
in
him
the north,
singing that tune.
So we'll see. But there's more baseball fans traditionally in the nation than NFL outdraws baseball, Major League Baseball. But baseball is the number 2 sport as far as fan interest. But when it comes to the college level, the crowds are minimal compared to minor league baseball. The study I did, it was interesting. I took every Big Ten team and their average attendance for the season and compared that attendance to their closest minor league team geographically and did their average yearly attendance. And Michigan and Michigan State are getting outdrawn 5-fold by the Lansing Lugnuts. I mean, come on.
All due respect to the Lugnuts.
Yeah. For all you Lugnut fans out there, I apologize in advance. But, are you kidding me?
Right.
There's so many Michigan and Michigan State fans out there, but nobody grows up dying to be a Lugnut.
Yeah. It would seem to me, from a financial standpoint, that one of the selling points you could use to administrators is your program will have a better chance of making more money if we play in the summer.
That's what they don't understand, Tony.
Right?
You wouldn't believe it. You sit there and tell them that, but the problem is they have to spend a little to make that money, and they won't do it because, kids have to go to summer school. Who's going to put them in summer school?
Well, that's all changed now. I mean, they're online. I mean, they go to school 365 days a year if they want to.
So if this thing breaks, meaning if the NCAA breaks a little bit and it does separate off into more haves and have-nots, that probably pushes this further away from happening. Yes or no? Not necessarily.
Probably so. You're going to have the top 30 teams in the nation, or probably always going to be the top 30 teams in the nation. And why ever give up that advantage? Yeah. So, yeah, I don't foresee it happening.
Do you think you'd have consensus among Big 12 coaches? Because you're also dealing with a lot of, obviously, Texas schools, the Oklahoma schools in that. Would you be an outlier even within the league right now, the way it's constituted?
We did an informal poll one time, and I think it was 5-4, 6-3 in favor of exploring the possibility.
Okay.
Because even Texas is sitting, they're drawing 5,000 or 6,000 a game, but right down the street at Round Rock, they're drawing 9,000 a game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a ton of Texas baseball fans out there.
Oh, sure.
Texas has been to Omaha 38 times in 75 years. So they would draw 10,000 a game, So everybody has always said it would cost too much to do it, but everybody always says that only because everybody has always said that. I actually did the math, and that's not true, but you just can't get people on board.
Yeah, I can see it. I just think what college sports are morphing into right now is something. Okay, let's face it. Here's my take. College sports has now become, whatever you want to call it, low-level professional sports, okay? So if you're in a low-level professional sport, wouldn't you want to have constant product and content out there? And wouldn't this be the vehicle where you could literally go the entire calendar year in touching each month? When would your World Series be?
Right before school starts in August.
August. So you could go right from baseball, start the football again. So as a university, you could have 12-month-a-year sports. And I don't.
But you guys have both said it, and we know this. We talk about this all the time on every issue that comes up in college sports. There's just so many decision makers that have to get on board with this. This isn't convincing 2 or 3 people to agree with you. This is convincing people across a wide geographic swath to try and come on board. I would think, I'll go back to the success that college baseball on television continues to have, the success that college softball is experiencing over the last couple of years. They just smashed records for the Women's College World Series. I would think that may help the impetus, because what's that going to bring with it? ESPN has figured out there's ratings there.
Sure.
Right? What's going to come with that? Dollars. And getting more live events longer in the calendar year may be the thing that helps push that forward.
That's a good point.
Instead of trying to compete with the back end of basketball, somebody TV-wise is going to figure out, you know what, July's pretty dead for us. We got the hot dog eating contest, but we could use some college baseball, given what you just saw. We could use some softball. That might be one of the things that drives it forward, because the money's following.
That's a good point.
Now the cost argument goes away.
Yeah.
The one thing that, and I talked to ESPN and Fox and all those people when I was doing the study, the one thing that they were deathly afraid of was interfering with the Little League World Series. And that was the big thing. They said, we can't, we make so much money off the Little League World Series, you guys cannot interfere with that. So that's something you have to go. What it's going to take is a group of economists to go to an athletic director and say, dude, what are you guys doing? You're leaving so much money on the table. What are you doing? Or it's going to take an attorney, because when I was doing the study, Duke had a pitcher, big right-handed pitcher that was projected to go 1-1 overall in the draft, which is $8, $9, $10 million. He's pitching in March in 43-degree weather and blows his arm out. Not the coach's fault. That's when we play. It's when you pitch your best pitchers. And he ends up having Tommy John. He goes back half of the first round, gets his $1 million. But if we're playing in the summertime, it probably doesn't happen. It might, but any doctor will tell you. Dr. Andrews,
James Andrews, yeah.
James Andrews, he's in support. He says we're putting these kids at greater risk of injury. So if a kid like that were to sue the NCAA and say, you're taking a chance of hurting us, it's going to take something like that. But to just ask coaches and administrators to do logical things just hardly ever works. One of the, believe it or not, some of the excuses I heard from people down south were, it's just too hot. And a prominent coach from the state of Florida said, Mays, we can't play in the summertime. It rains every afternoon. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You send video of snowflakes coming when you're trying to play? I mean, it's a little cold in February, too.
Every kid in the history of the world, when he grows up playing baseball, when does he play? When they're 4 years old, they play in the summer. When they're 5, 6, 7, 8, the whole way up. The only time they don't play in the summer is when they get to college. 40% of our season occurs in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. How surprised are you with what Alek Manoah is doing? 100% honesty.
And real quick, before you answer, some context for people that might not listen. We talk about it every night on Sportsline, it seems. He's now moved into the third lowest odds for the current Cy Young Award. He's 8-1. He's certainly going to be an all-star. He's in contention for all-star starter as well as he's playing. ERA 1.61, 8 wins. He's been totally dominant since he's been called up.
Wasn't surprised until I heard from somebody the other day this statistic. After his first 30 starts in the big leagues, I think his record was 18-3. That's the best record of first 30 starts in the history of baseball. Sandy Koufax, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson, all the greats. That would surprise you with anyone.
Sure,
not just
absolutely.
I'm not surprised he's having success in the big leagues, but better than anyone in the history of the game.
Yeah.
That's a whole different level that there's no way to predict.
What makes him special? What does he have that makes him different?
He has a mama that drives him. He has an unbelievable desire. He is as mean as a snake on the mound. And funny story, he was pitching against Kent State here, and we were beating him pretty good. And he struck a guy out, and he likes to stare at him, tell him sit down, and yell at him. And after the game, I said, AK, I said, when you make it to the big leagues, pitch against the Yankees, you're not going to be able to tell Judge and Stanton and those guys to sit down. So eventually that has to get out of your system. Let's go ahead and get it out now. Learn how not to do that. And it's kind of funny. Boy, was I wrong. Because he's telling big league hitters to sit down too. His emotion and his competitiveness. The talent's one thing, but his drive and desires off the charts.
Yankees are hitting 103 against him this year. Last year they hit 170. He's got 25 strikeouts against him in four appearances. The Yankees, who right now are untouchable, and he's been dominating.
103.
Well, he'll be better against the Yankees than he will against the Lansing Lugnuts because he lives for the moment.
Yeah,
he would rather pitch against the Yankees than the Lugnuts.
So he's one of
Although he just took out the Orioles the other night with no runs and 1 hit and 7 Ks, so he can take the bad teams on too.
So he's one of the. So we often say that the rarity is finding an athlete that has an obsessive compulsive desire to compete, which he has, but then they also have this elite skill level. And so biomechanically, why does he have success?
He's just got 3 tremendous pitches. Our pitching philosophy here at West Virginia is if you can command your fastball, which means throw it on both sides of the plate, up or down, and throw your slider and your changeup for a strike with some aggression, you can win anywhere. If you can do that, if you're 5 years old or coach pitch or high school or whatever, if you can execute that philosophy, you can win no matter how good your stuff is. If you can do that with Manoah-type stuff, then you're at the level we're talking about. And he can do that with tremendous pitches because he's just gifted that he has the ability to throw the tremendous pitches and the makeup to execute that pitching philosophy.
He's a big guy physically. How much does that help him?
It helps his durability, but that was always the big battle with AK.
Right.
After his freshman year in the regional, he pitched at University of Maryland. He checked in at 303.
Excuse me?
You heard me.
303?
Yeah. If I said that backwards.
Same thing?
Same thing. And I had to sit down with AK on several occasions and tell him the Steven Strasburg story, where Steven Strasburg was a pudgy kid in high school and was just okay. And when he committed to changing his body, he changed his whole life. And it took a while for AK to do that. And he got to where he looked a lot better his junior year. Now I see pictures of him, and he's digging that big league per diem, I think. And
You get a little concerned?
he's a big boy again.
Yeah, he is.
He's always going to have to monitor his weight and make sure he's in good shape. But I mean, he throws 125 pitches. His last pitch is going to be harder than his first pitch.
That's amazing.
So the size is helping him.
And it has been. All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk, because we've talked about this before on our other program on Sportsline. But it was replayed and replayed and replayed earlier this year. He got into it with Charlie Montoya, the Blue Jays manager, when Montoya pulled him. And there was some question. He'd only thrown like 81 pitches. Montoya went to get him, thought he'd go up and say, "Nice job, Alec," in the dugout and shake his hand, and Alec got after him. And you've told these stories before. So before you would have to go out and get him, what's your internal dialogue as you're walking out to tell Alec, "Great job, I'll take the ball now"? How'd that work?
It's not internal dialogue. I got Sabins and Ginther right there in the dugout, and when they look at me and say, "You better go get him out of there," I was like, "You go get him out of there." The guy's 300 pounds, 6'6". Guy could kill me.
And wanted no part of you walking out there.
Wanted no part of it. And he's yelling at me before I hit the foul line. And it's not for show.
Yeah.
It is
I mean,
not
he's genuinely
for show.
pissed at you for coming out of the dugout.
He's mad at you for coming out of the dugout. But there's an interesting piece. I don't know if they still have it, but one of the games we played, I was mic'd up.
Yeah, I've heard that and seen that, yeah.
And I went and
It's
took him out while I was mic'd up. So it was beep, beep, beep. But I'd rather have 100 guys like that than a guy that meets me at the foul.
But in all honesty, that's part of his success. That's what you're talking about.
Oh, of course.
You wouldn't want a guy that just said, "Okay, thank God the coach is coming to get me."
Yeah.
Like, you want a guy that's going to give you a little bit back like that.
Yeah, of course.
That shows you something.
Ben Hampton, our best pitcher this year, I thought he was going to kill me when I took him out of the Kansas State game in the 5th inning. He stood right next to me for the whole inning we were on offense. He said, "Don't you do it. Don't you do it." But
So he tried a preemptive strike before he even got back out there.
exactly. Yeah. But that's the kind of guys you want on your team. You know?
Yeah, that's the old hunting dog thing. If you got to teach a hunting dog how to hunt, then you don't have a hunting dog.
That's right.
Right? Those guys hunt. And that's what you want.
That's right.
That's like old Rich Rodriguez used to say, "I'd rather have to teach him to say whoa than sick him."
Exactly.
If you got to teach to tell him to sick him, then you don't
Have you watched him live? Have you been able to get over and watch a game of his live with the Jays?
I have not. Sabes and Ginther, my staff, went to see AK and Meansy start against each other.
Yeah, that was fun.
And the last year, couldn't go. One of my other former players was getting married that day. I was like, I can either catch his first wedding or this start. So I decided he's a good kid. He might only have one wedding, so I better catch this one.
That's good. What has name, image, and likeness as we approach the 1-year anniversary on July the 1st been like for you guys on the baseball side? We talk about it all the time in football and basketball.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I'm enjoying it. You know, it's toward the tail end of my career, you know, and it's a whole different way of coaching. You know, now it's like free agency in college baseball. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, the word on the street that nobody will ever confirm is that, you know, the shortstop from Kansas has made 6 figures to go to Tennessee, and Tommy Tanks from NC State made $250,000 to go to Florida State. You hear all the stories, and it's like, all right, now I know what a big league GM does. You know, you find good players. If they're in the portal potty, then you go offer them some money, you know, if you can. And it's kind of interesting. We'll see how it goes. But I've had to put on a little bit of a fundraising cap, but it's a whole different dimension I'm kind of excited about.
You guys, though, I don't know how aware people are. You've really, baseball coaches I'm talking now, have really always had a different roster management challenge than these other sports, with the draft, with the lack of scholarships, with the having to maneuver around. So, yes, it's a totally new world. Yes, it's totally different. But you've been roster managing for your whole career. where some football and basketball coaches just haven't, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that determines success at this level. If you don't know how to manage a roster and know who's getting drafted and that type of thing, you'll never have success. So,
and salary cap the thing, for lack of a better term, with the scholarships you have, right?
Yeah, you have to. We get 11.7 scholarships, but you're crazy if you don't sign 14 scholarships worth of players. And due to attrition or draft or whatever, you whittle your way down to 11.7, not up to it. So, yeah, we've been managing rosters, and college baseball coaches have gotten pretty good at it.
But you're also trying to live in that sweet spot of, I need really good players, but not so good that they're going to get drafted and won't end up coming here. That's been a matrix as well over the years.
Yeah, when you go recruiting, if a guy's too good, you just don't recruit him.
Yeah.
Because you know he's going to sign pro. And with the money that they're doling out these days, if a guy's going to go in the first round, you're giving him money, but you're giving him monopoly money. You just you're never going to see him, So it's an interesting dynamic. It's a pretty cool way to do it. And now that these basketball players can go one and done, and the football guys can leave early if they want, I'm like, all right, Hugs and Neil, welcome to my world. How you enjoying things,
I don't think they're enjoying it. My sense from afar is I don't think they're enjoying it at all. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center. They happen to be the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. That means exactly what it says. You buy an RV from them, buy a vehicle from them, and the warranty lasts as long as you own it. That would be forever. That's FOREVR. That's two R's, but they're not next to each other. That's a warranty forever. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. That's two T's with Burdett, and they are next to each other, burdettcamping.com, located in Winfield. Three Guys Before the Game is also brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. Earlier you mentioned, as we get older, certain things happen to our bodies and certain things change. Comax, what they say they do a computer colonoscopy. So they'll come into your business and they will go and give your computer system a complete colonoscopy to know if there's anything that needs to be cleaned up. And then they will give you for free an audit and say, hey, you're not safe here. You are safe here. This is what you need to do. And so if you would like your business to have a computer colonoscopy at absolutely no charge, and you don't even have to do the prep, you can visit them at comaxwv.com. That's comaxwv.com.
A regular colonoscopy, they get into your business too.
Yes, they do. Yes, I'm well aware of that.
One of the most impressive things about you, I don't know that I've ever told you this, the way you pronounce and enunciate WVU.
Oh, interesting. You catch that, huh?
Every time you say it, I catch that.
Little story behind that. So the legendary voice of the Mountaineers, Jack Fleming, he would lose his mind if you didn't properly say the W. So he would say, if someone says W, because that's kind of the common thing, like sure. W, whatever, WAJR, WWE, whatever, W. People just say W. And he would say, come here. And he'd make the double U, and he'd say, what's that? And he'd hold his hand over half of it, and he'd say, well, that's a U. And he'd put his hand over the other half, and he'd say, what's that? Well, that's a U. And he says, what do you say when there's two of them together? That's a double U.
It makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
That's a good way to say that.
Yeah,
I've not heard that.
And he also was huge on the T in the word Mountaineers. Like, don't give me Mountaineers.
Oh, my daughter Sierra's sitting out there. It's mountain. No T. I get on her all the time. She will not enunciate her T's.
She won't say the T.
She won't say the T.
Yeah, he was a big thing on that. So if you ever hear Jack stuff in the past, it's always Mountaineers, WVU.
One thing that drives me crazy, I went to Clemson.
Yeah.
And people always say Clemson. Where do you see a Z in there? It is not Clemson. It is Clemson with an S.
Another one's coming up, an annual one as well. Is there a T in Wimbledon? No, there's no T in Wimbledon. It's a D. It's Wimbledon. And another one is there's an R in February.
Correct.
People never say
that's a hard one. I just flat out ignore that.
Well, just
I can't
think about how it's spelled. It's February.
I can't say it like it's spelled.
February.
Well, it's like Wednesday. You don't say Wednesday.
I don't. Nor do I say February. I say February.
Nobody does that. I actually have learned how to say WVU because of Tony Caridi. made a big impact in my life.
Well, and I've kind of taken some things from you. Every chance I get to steal a base, I steal a base. I just send them.
Without the sign.
Just
No, that's the way our guys do it.
Just send.
That was fun this year.
That was fun.
Do you have fun? I would imagine that's more enjoyable as a coach,
Oh, sure.
just to keep winging them around.
Yeah. My favorite play actually is the grand slam, but you can't really coach that.
Right.
It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
But you can actually coach the stolen base, which is it's pretty cool. That's the kind of player I was. So the big competition this year was between Victor and AD, and I stole 31 bases my senior year at Clemson, and those guys were trying to chase me doing that. But I happen to have a red light sign that I can give them too.
Hold them back there a little bit. Yeah.
No, but I was anxious that was fun when those guys got on base.
Are you recruiting specifically now to make sure that you can constantly steal?
You know, I don't think we have to. It's kids know the way we play. You know, if you're a kid out there that can really run and you're being recruited in Power 5, how do you not look at the Mountaineers because of the way we play? You know, it's because a kid who can really run wants to run.
Yes.
So it's kind of feeding off of itself, really.
In essence, you're the baseball version of Press Virginia.
No doubt. And I talked to Hugs a lot that year, and that was pretty impressive how he took a team and completely flipped the philosophy of a team because of his team. So that's what makes good coaches, I think.
But it's similar. Well, and I think you fit into that because we talked about Manoa. That team was built on pitching. Now you've moved forward. This one was built on running, success both ways. That's also probably good for you, too, because it's different. That's not how baseball is being played right now. Right. Much like basketball is either a layup or a three-pointer, baseball, everybody's trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and it's launch angle and it's exit velo and all of that. You're kind of going against the grain somewhat on that.
And there's only a few things in baseball that you can do to abuse another team. And if the opposing team doesn't have a catcher that can throw or doesn't know how to hold runners, you can actually win a game because of that. It's like a team that runs a lot. You know, if you play against Army and you can't stop the run, you got some problems.
Long day.
You know? And if you play the Mountaineers and you can't control the running game, you got some problems. So there's very few advantages that exist on the baseball field like that, but that's still one of them.
I'm sorry, Tony. Are you seeing that a little bit more because of what I just said? Pitchers aren't necessarily used to doing that because they don't see it as often?
No, kids don't practice anymore. We don't practice.
Yeah, just go out and play.
Yeah, just go play. From the time they're 7, you know, I've done all the research there too. Kids actually should practice about 3 times for every game they play. But they go travel in these tournaments and you play 6 games and you win 5 of them 31-0, and you go to work on Monday morning and brag to all your coworkers that you beat the crap out of the team from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And who cares? Kids aren't developing. Kids at a young age, kids need to develop their skills. They don't need to win a ton of games. Need to learn how to win. Need to try and win, but you need to learn how to lose and learn how to get better. There's only 2 kinds of people in this world, and it's winners and learners. You know, you can't. If you win all the time, you learn nothing. So that's a whole nother show. What's the sequel to this show called?
Probably Randy Mazey visits part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah,
show number.
Just keep going. We'll cut it.
764. We'll take another.
No, we'll probably be done by then. This thing's probably got a shelf life to it at some point. I know it's a collection of philosophies that you take in as you become a coach through the years. But is there one single person that molded you more than another in your baseball philosophy?
Oh, yeah.
Who is it?
I think everybody has that guy. Every coach that ever coached the sport has a mentor that has meant a lot to him. Mine was the guy I played for at Clemson named Bill Wilhelm, older gentleman that is no longer with us, but he was tough, man. He was tough, and but he was fair. And his recruiting philosophy, his coaching philosophy was recruit great athletes and let them be athletes. Do not overcoach a good athlete. And to this day, that's what we do. And it was kind of funny. My sophomore year at Clemson, I didn't play a ton as a freshman, and there was no portal back then for me to get in, so I went back. And about 10 games into my sophomore year, I was standing in the outfield and he was standing over there, and I went over to him and I said, "Coach, how come I'm not playing more than I am?" He said, "Maze," he said, "if you were to play every day at this level, in every game, you wouldn't even hit 200. And it kind of shocked me. He said, "You know what? I take that back. You wouldn't hit 100. And I said, "You give me a shot. You just give me a shot." And the next day, I was in the lineup, and I never came out. I went 3 for 4 against Illinois with a couple doubles, and he just challenged me. And that's kind of what we're losing with all this science and data and technology, and is the toughness of kids and the competitiveness in kids. Alec Manoah still has it, and he's having success. But we have some pitchers that they'll go throw one inning, give up 3 runs, 4 walks, and a wild pitch, and they come back and look at their data, and they threw 97, and they thought they had a great game. And they're looking at the report. I'm like, go look at the box score. That's what you need to be looking at. Where's your toughness and your desire to get people out?
Mm-hmm.
But we're not teaching kids that. In travel ball, if you sign up on a travel team and you're not playing as much as you want to, you just quit and join another one. So we are molding kids to get into the portal.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, that's
and everything.
That's what we're teaching them.
100%. Yeah, 100%. You mentioned Whammer a couple times so far. That was life-changing, huh?
Yeah, sure was. You're going to make me.
No, I'm not going to make you cry. I don't want to do that at all. Maybe I'll just go at it from a different angle. He's doing extremely well. Played a ton this year at Morgantown High School.
He did.
As a freshman.
Yeah, as a freshman. Give me a scouting report. Like, pretend you weren't his dad, and you just went and you're watching him in the field. What would his scouting report be right now? His recruiting report.
Well, it's kind of funny you say that. He's playing this summer, and Whammer doesn't take too well to not doing well. And he's played 7 or 8 games. And the last game he played, he didn't get on base for the first time. He draws a lot of walks and can hit a little bit, and he's always on base. And when he didn't get on base, he texted me and said, "Daddy, who would want a undersized middle infielder with average speed that hits a soft 300, makes every play, gets on base a lot, and is super consistent? Who would want that guy? I don't even stand out." I said, everybody wants that guy. So that's what he is right now. And I say that, and he's just a freshman. So he will hopefully gravitate into standing out. But as a freshman, if that's how somebody described him, you're ahead of the game, getting on base a lot in high school. And he is a pretty good defender and loves to play. What he likes to do when he has a bad game, he likes to go practice what he was not good at. What a skill to have.
That's a great thing, because everyone wants to go do the thing that they already can do.
Yeah, if he strikes out on a right-handed breaking ball, Daddy, let's go in the cage. I need to see some right-handed breaking balls. So he's got a pretty good feel, and he played hockey again this year too.
Oh, did he play hockey? I didn't know that.
We had to get permission for him to play in a non-checking league because of the head injury, but he loves hockey too now. He's a same thing. Always in the right spot, super consistent, great team guy. So he's doing great. You'd never know anything happened to him, but you're right, life-changing deal. It's kind of funny when we didn't get a bid this year. I feel like the next 24 hours after something really bad happens is when you really need to coach the team. After we lost the regional we hosted, really needed to coach those kids. And when we didn't get a bid, really needed to coach those kids at that moment. So when we met, kids were super disappointed. And I said, here's what to learn from this. Number one, you don't always get what you want, man. Starting when you were 4 years old at Christmas, when I asked for my Red Ryder BB gun, when I was a little kid and I didn't get it, Ralphie got it, I didn't get it. But I didn't swear myself off of Santa Claus and Christmas. You just be happy with what you got. So part of life is not getting what you want. The second part of life is what we just went through. You guys killed it this year. You guys killed it. We had a great season. We broke records. We went 27-0 when leading after 6. This was one of the greatest seasons West Virginia baseball has ever had. Don't let some committee of people that could care less about you bring you down from what you know you've accomplished. Don't ever let somebody from the outside that has no idea what you put into this disdain you from what you have accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And the third thing is, in life, you should always find a way to turn a negative into a positive. And I told him the story about Whammer, because not all of them know the story about Whammer, about how he almost died on that field. And talk about a negative. Imagine a parent going through that right in front of them. That's as negative as it can get. And we have actually turned that into as much of a positive as we can. Amanda and I have started the Team Whammer Foundation. We've raised a couple $100,000 to benefit people like Whammer, young kids that have brain injuries that need help. We're providing them transportation to these facilities that otherwise they wouldn't be able to get. So we have turned one of the worst negatives in life into a positive.
Sure.
You can turn this into a positive. So next year, we're going to play with a chip on our shoulder. We are going to play. Am I allowed to say the P word?
Sure. Absolutely.
We're going to play pissed off the whole season.
Absolutely.
Because of what that committee said. And the Big 12 should be embarrassed that we didn't get in. We're the only team in the last 10 years that went 4 games over 500 in the Big 12, ACC, SEC, Pac-12 that didn't get a bid in the last 10 years. So we're going to play
pissed off.
Yeah, we're going to play accordingly. So ironically, we have our Team Whammer father-son camp on Saturday, if I can plug that.
Do it, dude.
All the proceeds, we don't keep any of the money. 100% of the proceeds go to help kids like Whammer that have had terrible, terrible injuries that need help. So it's an opportunity we just take donations and bring your son out on Father's Day weekend. Even the mothers can come. We just have a big time, and Whammer will be out there throwing out the first pitch, and it's a pretty good time.
That's awesome.
One last piece of family before we move on. Got to give Sierra a shout out too. She'll give you a little hockey.
Sierra's a lot tougher than Whammer. She was boy, Amanda's going to kill me for this story. Me and Sierra and Whammer were at the ice rink watching a WVU club hockey game, which is so much fun to watch, and we couldn't find Sierra. And 30 minutes later, she showed up, and we got home. I didn't think anything of it. We got home, and Amanda said, "Sierra, get in here. What have you been doing?" And I was like, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Sierra had put her hockey helmet on and her hockey gloves, went in the locker room, and was fist fighting all the boys. It was like a steel cage match. Sierra against the boy, just one right after the next. And it's one of those times as a parent, you have to really act mad at your child. but down deep, you're like, you go, girl. You go, girl.
So she got a little something to her. Got a little Alec Manoah to her.
She's got some Alec Manoah in it. So she's a good one. She can play some hockey now. Her and Wham played on the same line in middle school this year. He was the center. He wore number 14. She was the left wing. She wore 41.
How about that? How neat is that?
The only time they ever hug each other is when one of them scores.
Yeah, I get it.
See, that's the beauty of sports, bringing people together. Perfect.
That's exactly
but,
right.
You know, it's I tell people in our profession all the time, the key to life is balance, man. If you don't have balance, if you're obsessed at something in your life, you're probably going to be pretty good at what you're obsessed at, but you're really not going to be good at anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always, since I've been coaching, if we get swept by Texas, when I go home to the kids and Amanda, you would never know we got swept. I'm I'm still a dad. We're still playing catch in the yard. Me and Sierra are doing TikTok videos together, or whatever they call them. So I feel like I have achieved that balance in my life. So I'm a happy guy.
That's awesome. That's a good deal, man. That feels good.
I know, right?
All right. So before I let you go here, all-time greatest first baseman that you've seen at the college level. Either you coached him, coached against him. Who's your all-time first baseman?
There's two of them. Ryan McBroom could really, really play first base.
Oh, yeah. This guy
The
here,
old
yeah.
left-handed thrower, right-handed hitter. I liked old Broomy because that's what I was, left-handed thrower, right-handed hitter. He had a really good feel for playing first base. And a guy I played with at Clemson with an S named Mike Milchin ended up pitching in the big leagues. He was a two-way guy in college, could really, really play first base. And that's the most underappreciated position on the field.
First base.
Yeah, for sure. That guy can save a lot of runs over there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We mentioned before we started recording if Manoa was the best you've ever had, but you've already coached you've coached in college a Cy Young Award winner.
Young Jake Arrieta.
Yeah.
I got to Jake after his sophomore year in college at TCU, and he was one of the national finalists for Collegiate Pitcher of the Year. And I go in there for his junior year, and I'm not dumb enough to try and coach that guy. I mean, what, are you kidding me? So I just told him when I showed up, I said, Jake, I'm here for you if you need me, man. And that's how I coached Jake that year. And when Manoa got back from Cape Cod for his junior year, I'm not dumb enough to coach that guy. Just stand next to him when people take pictures. So you gotta let these kids be who they are, and I think they appreciate that.
Yeah. Recruiting wise, where are you at for next year right now?
Well, they pushed that draft back. That's going to change things a little bit because we feel like we got a couple guys are going to be drafted in top 5 rounds. Got another one going to be drafted late. Got an incoming high school guy, probably go top 5 rounds. So who knows?
That doesn't stress you?
2,200 kids in the portal right now in baseball.
Wow.
Yeah. So you don't build a program anymore. You just build a team year by year. So we'll see how that goes. Things have changed. You can either buck the system or join it. Mm-hmm. So I'm that old dog that's learning some new tricks.
How old are you?
In people years or dog years?
People.
Here's an interesting sidebar. People think dogs are 7 years to each year.
Yeah. That's what I always thought. No?
Not true.
What is it?
The numbers are staggered. The first year of their life is not 7, and the second year of their life is not 7. I don't know the exact numbers, but it averages 7 over the course of their lifetime.
Okay.
So as a 3-year-old dog, he could still be a teenager, not a 21-year-old.
I see where you're going.
So keep that in mind as your life unfolds.
How and why do you know that? And how do you know it?
Sierra, to go back to our family, is a huge dog person. She has her own dog walking business. She works 3 days a week at Pampered for Paws, taking care of dogs up there. I think I just promoted them, didn't I?
That's okay.
That's good.
So she's a big dog lover, so she has read a lot of books about dogs, and we have some of the most uninteresting facts about dogs you could ever, one of which I just gave you.
But it evens out at some point.
It evens out. Yeah, it averages 7.
So my guy is 10 right now, Charles Barkley. So he's probably 70. Right? I mean, because he's all the way up to 10. It's probably hit that even out point, 7.
Does he actually act like Charles Barkley?
Nah, he's very stubborn. Like, he's great. I love him because he's just like, he don't listen. I like it because he just doesn't listen. Like, Chuck, you want to go for a walk? What's up, man? He just gives you a sup. Just kind of, what's up, man? Like, I got to go over there, give him a little jab in the hip, and he goes, okay, you want to go walk? Fine, we'll go walk. Yeah. So
there was a question buried in there somewhere.
How old are you?
Oh, I was avoiding that, wasn't I? 56.
Oh, hell, you're young.
I just celebrated the 26th anniversary of my 30th birthday.
56 is young, dude.
It is?
Yes.
56 and some change.
How you mentioned it was Bill Wilhelm was your coach. How long did he coach until?
Oh boy, he was he gave it up about 25 years ago. He was in his 60s when I played for him and coached for him, but he was a legend. He won over 1,000 games in his career, and whenever the former players all get together, it's the Wilhelm stories. Just much like there's going to be Mazey stories. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So
56 is young, dude.
Seriously?
Yes, it's young. That's not even close.
I'm going to have to get a copy of this show and replay that clip over and over and over.
Dude, let me tell you something. I mean, like, Hugs is 60. He'll be 68 in September.
He doesn't look a day over 70.
No, I don't think he does either.
When I was,
you know Jay Jacobs, who does the color on basketball?
I do.
He's 80. He's going to be 84 next season. 84. That's an 8 and a 4.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
So you're a baby.
Let's see, 7 years ago, Amanda and I went on vacation to New Zealand.
Oh, that's awesome.
Took a helicopter into the mountains, and they dropped us off, and we backpacked out 40 miles. And that's when I know that because I was 49 at the time. And when I got out, I was like, we should have done this next year.
So you could say you were 50.
Guys say I was 50.
How was that?
It was unbelievable. Another uninteresting fact you probably don't know, there are no bears and snakes in New Zealand.
What's the reason for that?
There has to be one to start with, and then there has to be two to make a third, and there's never been one.
No one's brought a bear over.
Apparently not.
So when you're going this 40 miles in New Zealand, like, how do you know you're going the right way? Is it pretty well marked?
You don't.
And are you worried you're not going the right way?
Sometimes they had orange markers on the trees about a quarter mile apart. So when you got to an orange marker, you had to find the next one, which wasn't always in sight. And over in New Zealand, we went through an earthquake over there, our first earthquake ever. And when there's an earthquake, sometimes if it's big enough, the trees fall down. And if one of the trees with the orange marker happens to fall down, you've got problems.
Yeah, it could be a problem.
Yeah, it could be a real problem.
Yeah.
So we had it turned into a survival situation, to be honest with you. Here's another story for you. We went over the week before Christmas and didn't take a satellite phone, didn't tell anybody where we were going. We've learned from our mistakes, but we went over there and planned on spending 5 days hiking 40 miles.
Okay, I was going to ask you how long. Okay, got it.
And there are huts every 6 or 7 miles that you can spend the night in if you want to, and each hut has a map that tells you how to get to the next hut. And we didn't know this at the time, but there were 12 river crossings that we had to go through, which is fine if it's not raining. But day one, it rained for 36 straight hours, and the rivers rose.
This is a problem.
This is a real problem. So we get to the river on day 2 in the pouring rain, and it's impassable. And now we're thinking, we got a real problem because Christmas is coming up. Our kids are at home. Nobody knows where we're at. We could be here for weeks. So instant panic, but logic takes over, you know. And I told Amanda, you stay here. I'm crossing this river somewhere. So I walked upriver half a mile, tried to find a place to cross, downriver, try and find a place, no place to cross. So I said, well, here's the deal. The heavier you are, the better chance you have. So give me both backpacks. They both weigh 40, 50 pounds. I'm going. If I make it, I'll come back and get you. So I go, and I'm in water almost up to my neck, pretty swift river, 2 backpacks on me, and I make it through. So now,
feet on the ground the whole time.
Kind of bouncing,
bouncing.
Know, like a zero gravity chamber.
Yeah. Astronaut, yeah.
How long was that portion of the trip? You crossing the river took how long?
From start to finish, an hour till I found the right place and got across. But now I've got an interesting decision.
Do you go get
I'm
Amanda?
On this side. She's on that side.
Yeah.
I've got all the gear we're no longer newlyweds, so here's my opportunity. But I went back and got her, put her on my back, and, once you cross it once, it gives you confidence to cross it twice. So I went and got her, and we didn't stop. Once we got through, I remember I flipped that River the Bird and said, I beat you. And we didn't stop. We made it out in 3 days instead of 5.
Made it home for Christmas.
Made it home for Christmas.
That's a good one.
All is good in the world.
Oh, man. You live a very adventurous life. Brad and I, heck, we go over Westover Bridge. We think it's a big deal. You know what I mean? You guys in New Zealand.
Was that fun?
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, see, there's the difference, Tony.
You wouldn't
tell
like
me
it.
that story. That doesn't sound fun to me. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I know.
See, whenever we get into a tough game, I think I told you this before, when we're playing Kansas State in the Big 12 tournament, we're down 6-3 in the ninth. When things aren't going well on the field, my therapist always tells me, go to your happy place when things aren't going well. So I was in New Zealand for the ninth inning of that game. So I had a great time. Everybody else was miserable. I was having a great time.
Going over the water. Yeah. Well, have you enjoyed episode 382?
That was awesome. It's nice and cool in here. I love the atmosphere.
Very nice.
I'd love to come back. One of my bucket list things is to be on a radio show.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you think when you're done that you would be a good color commentator on broadcasts?
I would like. I did that for a little while when
really?
There was a little spell there when I wasn't in the game and I was doing some of that. I enjoyed that because I feel like I can give people the game behind the game, some insights, and I can do it in layman's terms that give some people something to watch for in the game that otherwise they might not. But I just like to sit in a studio and converse with people, and I love listening to the morning show out of Morgantown there.
Yeah.
The guy with the quick-witted guy.
Yeah.
And
Dave? Talking about Dave?
What's his last name?
Dave Wilson?
Nope.
Okay. Somebody
Who's
else.
the other? Nikki and
Oh, you're talking about Jack Logar.
Yeah.
Jack Logar.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's funny, dude.
He's got a dry sense of humor,
I was gonna say that.
quick-witted.
Yeah,
That
pretty
guy's
quick.
my hero. I want to be on that show.
Oh,
Jack,
we-
Jack, are you out there?
Oh, we can get him on. Oh,
Are
we can
you
get
listening?
We can get you
Yeah,
on
that'll
there.
work. That'll
We'll
be-
take care
yeah,
of it.
got it.
Consider it done. Yeah. Yeah, I go on there like during football season. They let me on. They must not know that there's a basketball season after. But anyway, that's a whole different point. But anyway, yeah, we can get you on there.
Nice.
Yeah, Jack and Nikki. Yeah, we'll get you on there. That's not a problem at all. Well, good. Yeah, because I think this color-wise on broadcast, whether it's radio or TV, I think baseball lends itself more than any other sport to have the opportunity to really explain, because of the pace of the game, you have the opportunity between pitches to set things up, to tell what people are thinking. Where in some of these sports, hockey, obviously it doesn't. Basketball, not really, because it goes so fast, and now football, because that goes so fast nowadays, it doesn't lend itself to it.
Yeah, if you go to a baseball game that lasts 3 hours, I think they said there is actually 6 minutes of action.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of time to talk about New Zealand and hockey and different things.
Yeah. He was a college baseball player, all conference. Did you know that?
We talked in Iowa. So I'm well versed in the northern playing and summer baseball on the high school side. In college, played traditional season, but yeah, high school was in the summer.
It's the only state that does that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? It's the only state that does.
Yeah. Some states don't play high school baseball, but Iowa plays their high school baseball in the summertime.
For a lot of the reasons he laid out. I mean, you just can't get any games in the spring with snow and or rain. So it works, yeah.
Yeah, big fan of that.
Well, this has been great. I don't know if you've enjoyed it. I loved it.
Yeah, this is big time.
This is fun.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Dude, let me tell you something. I mean, as you know, now that he comes in, he spent an hour and a half with us. He's become a friend of the program, which means he basically has all the privileges of a friend of the program. He can come in whenever he wants. Whenever he wants. So
I'll never be able to find this place again.
No, yeah, we got to get you out of here.
On a Thursday football preview, we'd be happy to have you then. But whatever, it doesn't have to just be baseball.
Well, when Amanda does her keys to the game on Saturday, where do you think she gets those from?
Hey, Randy, what do you think about this? Yeah,
no, she's pretty sharp.
Tell you what's weird. I get mine from Amanda. So
Yeah, I'll tell you an interesting story about Amanda since I'm embarrassing the whole family.
Sure, go ahead.
When I met her, she was the sportscaster at the NBC affiliate in Eastern North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And she was covering a hockey story, Carolina Hurricanes, and I'm a big hockey guy. And on the Hurricanes team was Simone Gagne.
I remember him.
Simonegagne. So on her teleprompter, she says, and the game-winning goal is scored by Simon Gagne.
Yeah,
but in Eastern North Carolina,
knew.
nobody knows. To this day, I'm the only one that knows it was Simone Gagne.
So true. So true. All right, we're out 3 guys before the game with our special guest, Randy Mazey, episode 382, brought to us by Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. And by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. They will come in and do that complete computer, you can call it an analysis. We call it a colonoscopy. We're back next week for the Senator, for our producer, Tyler, Jonathan County, Consolidated Kennedy, for Randy Mazer. We're gone. See ya.